The final whistle blows. Turns out your team blows. They're now 0-2. You make your way to the balcony. You stand on the ledge. How could they do this? I have been hyping them up for 7 months, and now they're 0-2. This is how they repay me? Do it. Don't do it. Do it. But I'm going to need you to step up off that ledge, my friend. There are 17 games this year, and plenty of time for your team to turn it around. So don't give up on your team just yet. Unless you're a fan of the Jacksonville Jaguars, New York Giants, Minnesota Vikings, or Atlanta Falcons. In which case, yeah, you should probably jump. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, week 2 of the NFL season is over. It is time to take a look at the teams who lost this week and whether or not their fan base's pain and suffering is justified. Let's start with the Giants losing on Thursday night. Not going to go too deep into this game because this game happened damn near a week ago. But you know what? The Giants offense looks semi-competent. If they look like this over the course of the whole season, they might end up being competitive and fun to watch. But no, you are not going to trick me. Every single time it seems like Jason Garrett, his back is against the wall. There is no way he doesn't get fired. He comes out and has a performance like this. He's pulling new plays out of his ass. He's actually utilizing his quarterback who could run. Who fucking knew? He's giving the ball to his playmakers in space. It looks legitimately good. But then next week, I guarantee you, he's going to give the ball to Saquon 14 times for 36 yards because that is what Jason Garrett does. I mean, the Giants lose this game because they jump off sides on the final kick. I mean, of course they do. If you're a Giants fan, I mean, what is there? What is there to be excited about? Daniel Jones is probably not the guy. Your defense looks decent. Your first round pick doesn't even play. Your first round pick didn't even play in the game. I'm giving the Giants a out of 10 because that's what I think whenever I think of this team. Nothingness. Let's talk about the other NFC East team that lost this past weekend, the Philadelphia Eagles, and I still really don't know what to think of this team. Week 1, they beat up on what looks like a horrible Atlanta Falcons team. And then they come out in week 2 and look good the first half and then just I don't do really anything of note in the second half of the game. I just kind of think this is who this team is. They're average. They have a very, very good defense. I think better than a lot of people expected. We knew that defensive front was going to be good, but the secondary looks better than what at least I anticipated heading into the season. I mean, the 49ers really didn't do shit on offense the first half of this game. And I'll say this, the 49ers need to pull their head out of their ass because if they look like this, how they've looked the first 2 weeks of the season against the Rams, against the Seahawks, against the Cardinals, they are going to lose. They need to figure it out. But as far as the biggest question mark heading into the season for the Eagles, Jalen Hurts, I don't know what really you could say after 2 weeks. He did make some pretty nice throws down the field in this one, but I just don't know. It's a mixed bag for him. Like the best play the Eagles have is Jalen Hurts standing in the pocket for a second and then running outside for a gain of 10. It's like a 12-year-old playing Madden Ultimate Team. Yeah, as a Cowboys fans, I'm going to give the Eagles a cry, Eagles cry out of 10. Speaking of the Cowboys, they get a win against the Los Angeles Chargers on Sunday. If you want to watch my initial reaction to that game, you can click on the link up here or down below. Not going to spend too much time on it because I did talk about it on Sunday, but yeah, the Chargers, I mean, this is a Chargers loss right here. This is a patented Chargers loss. You put up 400 yards on offense. You're efficient on third down. How do you only score 17 points? Of course, every single Chargers fan is blaming the officiating. I don't want to hear it, okay? Blaming the refs is not cool unless I do it. I'm going to give the Chargers a how about them Cowboys? Out of 10. That's right. I'm feeling toxic this week. The AFC West was undefeated last week, but this week they have 2 losing teams. One of them, the Kansas City Chiefs. Listen, you got to give a ton of props to the Baltimore Ravens. I'm sure it feels amazing finally beating the Chiefs team for Lamar Jackson, who looked really bad the first quarter of this game and then was damn near unstoppable the rest of this game. Look, if I'm a Chiefs fan, I'm not overly concerned because Patrick Mahomes is on my team, but I am a little teeny tiny bit concerned because Patrick Mahomes does not play defense. This defense looks legitimately scary. Not in a fucking good way, okay? I don't have the stats in front of me, but the Chiefs have to have given up the most rushing yards in the league so far, right? And sure, I guess you could say, yo, we've played the Ravens and the Browns. Those 2 teams are probably going to finish 1 and 2 in rushing respectively. What are you going to do then? What's crazy is this team gave up almost 300 rushing yards, and if Clyde Edwards-Helaire doesn't fumble that ball there on the final drive, they probably win this game. This team is just so stupid. I don't really have anything negative to say about the Chiefs. It was a tough road game, prime time against the Ravens. They were hungry for a win after losing week 1. You're not going to catch me dead saying anything negative about this Chiefs team. I'm giving them a do not put me on freezing cold takes in 5 months out of 10. I will not say anything negative about them. The Ravens were able to gain some ground in the AFC North this week because the Pittsburgh Steelers lost against the Las Vegas Raiders. Dude, are the Raiders good? I think we still have to wait just a teeny tiny bit because they have come out hot the past 2 seasons before flaming out in embarrassing fashion, but it does kind of feel different. Like it looks like they legitimately have a defense. This defensive line has been impressive so far. And dude, Big Ben, I am concerned about his well-being this season. Every time he gets hit, he lays on the ground like a gunshot victim. I am actually worried that he is not going to see the end of this season. The Steelers defense is fantastic. Now they're dealing with a shit ton of injuries. Their offense just, I mean, they didn't look good in week 1 either. They don't look good here. I have Deontay Johnson in multiple fantasy leagues. This dude goes down every other quarter with what looks like a season-ending injury. And then he's back on the field the very next drive. Is he okay? Who knows? I'm going to give the Steelers have 911 on standby because I am concerned for Big Ben out of 10. Let's talk about another aging quarterback whose life I fear is in danger due to his terrible offensive line, and that is Matt Ryan. I thought last week the Falcons looked like the worst team in the NFL. This week they were a little bit more competitive, even though the score might not indicate that. I mean, this was a one-possession game at one point in the second half until the Falcons completely shit their pants. But Matt Ryan's going to be under siege, I mean, all season long. I really don't know what there is to say. I mean, what's the ceiling for this Falcons team now that they're 0-2? They don't have a good defense. Their offensive line is bad. Matt Ryan is not who he used to be. Even Calvin Ridley is disappointing just a teeny tiny bit. Like, Cordell Patterson is their best fucking player on offense. How is that possible? I just don't agree with drafting a luxury position in the top 7 picks of the draft when you have so many holes on your team. Quarterback, offensive line, defense. I mean, you name it. This team has so many holes that they need to address. And they drafted a tight end. And, you know, I don't want to go too hard on Kyle Pitts. He's going to be a monster, but I'm going to continue to be hard on them until they prove me wrong. What is the direction of this team? What is it? Just like the Giants, I'm giving the Falcons a out of 10 because that's what I feel when I think of this team. Another team that I'm giving a out of 10 to is the New York Jets. I mean, what is there to say, man? Zach Wilson, 4 interceptions. Oh, that's brutal. We know Bill Belichick eats young quarterbacks and specifically rookie quarterbacks for breakfast, but dude, 4, 5, 6? I lost fucking count. Interceptions is abysmal. I wanted to go on Pro Football Reference to see how many rookie quarterbacks have thrown that many interceptions in a game, but then I realized that Pro Football Reference now requires a subscription, and I didn't do that shit. Zach Wilson, some of his interceptions are just dumbass decision making, okay? But some of them are just bad throws. When I watch Zach Wilson so far, I see a ton of Jameis Winston, right? Like, oh my God, he magically escapes a sack, and now he's just throwing that shit up. Oh, it just goes nowhere. It goes right to a defender. Who in the hell is he throwing it to? I guess the thing Jets fans can tell themselves is once, you know, Saleh's able to reel in Zach Wilson and tell him to play a little bit more smart, things might get better, but I'm not gonna lie. If I'm a Jets fan, after our team's incompetence when it comes to finding franchise quarterbacks, I am a little bit spooked out by how many interceptions Zach Wilson has thrown so far this season. Let's talk about the other AFC East team that got their ass beat this past weekend, the Miami Dolphins. I'm not going to go too hard on the Miami Dolphins since Tua did get hurt and, you know, Jacoby Brissett was not very good. Don't want to go too hard on him because being a backup quarterback coming in the middle of the game is not easy. But I just thought after getting blown out in week 17 last year with the playoffs on the line against this Buffalo team that the Dolphins would come out with a little something, a little bit more fire, and they just looked terrible, man. I guess the positive, Xavier Howard just continues to pull turnovers out of his ass. I mean, this dude's unbelievable at forcing takeaways. But this just feels like one of those burn the tapes type game for the Dolphins. Pray to God Tua comes back. I guess I'll give the Dolphins Deshaun Watson out of 10. No, I'm just kidding because Deshaun Watson is Speaking of Deshaun Watson, the Houston Texans lose to the Browns. Tyrod Taylor gets hurt. Groin injury. Sounds like he's going to miss 4 weeks. Terrible, terrible news, man. Tyrod has looked legitimately good so far this season. Not just like good for the Texans, not just good for Tyrod Taylor standards, but like a legitimately good quarterback so far. And this dude, I don't know who he pissed off, but he has some terrible luck. And of course, since the Tyrod Taylor injury news, every single blue check mark is saying, does this mean Deshaun Watson's going to play? Deshaun Watson's not fucking playing. I don't know how many times it needs to be said that Deshaun Watson is not going to be playing for the Houston Texans this season. Is anybody else getting annoyed by this shit, or is it just me? The Texans fought hard. It's very obvious the Texans are going to be better than a lot of people expected. I don't know how many games they're going to win, but they're not like the worst team of all time like some people thought they were going to be. Honestly, myself included. I'll give the Texans declining in offsides on 3rd down so you can instead punt it on 4th down out of 10. A lot of different things they need to work out. It was an eventful week for the AFC South, but except for the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is going to be one of these teams this year, man, that it's just not going to be that fun to talk about, dude. Multiple interceptions again for Trevor Lawrence. I think he's going to be good. Like, you just watch him play, he looks the part. But this hero ball shit him and Urban are throwing out there, it's got to stop. They're throwing the ball downfield 70 fucking yards every play damn near. These two need to realize they're not throwing to 5-star recruits against junior varsity players every single game. I honestly almost forgot this game happened, but I have to give some props to Teddy Bridgewater because he is throwing that thing. I know there is a stigma around Teddy Bridgewater, how he plays. He's very safe, and that's usually true. But I don't know if this Jags defense is just terrible, but Teddy was airing that thing out on Sunday. I'm going to give the Jags my heart's just not in it anymore out of 10. It's coming. The Titans played an absolute insane game against the Seattle Seahawks. Props to them for somehow winning this. First half looked sad, and it looked like this Titans team was in trouble, and then their offense just came to fucking life. Mainly Derrick Henry came to life in the second quarter. And would you believe me if I told you, with a chance to put this game away in the second half and coast to what should have honestly been an easy win, the Seahawks ran the ball one single time in the fourth quarter. After scoring a touchdown to make it 30-16 in the fourth quarter of the game, they then had 2 drives with a chance to ice the game. They went 3 and out both times and ran one single time. That is just horrible. Like, it's easy to blame this defense, and yes, this defense deserves some blame, but this defense was on the field damn near near the entire like back 40 minutes of this game. And the moment your defenders start putting their hands on their hips and start huffing and puffing, they are fucked, because Derrick Henry is a robot that is going to murder you and your family. Obviously not too worried about the Seahawks team moving forward, but I mean, this is kind of what this team has done in recent years. Questionable head coaching decisions from Pete Carroll. Russell Wilson, as good as he is, there is some inconsistent play. And now DK Metcalf, what is going on with him? Can he pull his head out of his ass, please? The Cardinals beat the Vikings in a game only the Vikings could lose. When I was rewatching this game yesterday, I got to the end of the first half and I kept thinking to myself, how in the hell did the Vikings lose this game? They are running the ball incredibly well. They were forcing Kyler Murray to make mistakes. KJ Osborne, I mean, where the hell did he come from? Kirk looked pretty good. And they just managed to Vikings it up, dude. If I were a fan of this team, I don't know how I would continue moving forward. I'm just going to be 100% honest with you. And of course, their kicker misses the game-winning field goal a week after the Vikings fans were rejoicing finally having a good kicker. Just remember, this team is a phantom Dalvin Cook fumble away and a missed chip shot field goal at the end of the game from being 2-0. And instead, they're 0-2. Yeah, I'm going to give the Vikings a...
Down. Joseph, come on! It is gone! No, he missed it! Are you kidding me? Missed it right.
Out of 10. The other two NFC North teams faced off on Monday Night Football last night. And listen, you expected a different outcome than this. I don't know what to tell you. I feel horrible for that guy for losing out on whatever the fuck it was, $400,000 or whatever it was. But why would you bet on the Lions, Monday Night Football, Aaron Rodgers in Lambeau? Guaranteed win. The Lions look competitive. You have to give them that until they weren't anymore. And that's going to be what it is this season for the Lions. They're just not good enough talent-wise to stack up against these teams, especially elite talent teams like the Packers. I don't have too much to say. I mean, Goff looked good at times. The Monday Night Football crew was like in love with Jamal Williams. I mean, Jamal Williams is a funny dude. He's a good player, but they were treating this dude like he was some franchise cornerstone running back. At least they're going in a positive direction, right? At least, unlike the Falcons, who it's just like, what's going on with them? They're like wandering around in a fucking forest, just lost. At least the Lions have some sense of direction. I'm still going to give the Lions a out of 10 because I don't know. I just don't like talking about this team right now. So for the Packers, week 1 to week 2, we see a team on opposite ends of the spectrum. Look terrible week 1, look dominant week 2. Saints, the complete opposite. Look dominant week 1 against the Packers, whatever the fuck that was on Sunday against the Panthers. It's like now, it's like what is this team now? Because you have two completely different outcomes. Which one is the real one? Of course, it's easy to blame Jameis Winston, right? Because he did play terrible. He had some patented Jameis Winston interceptions. But what do you want the guy to do? He's getting hit the moment he snaps the ball. It looks like me in 7th grade when I was the quarterback and got sacked before I even fucking had the ball. 8 carries, 5 yards for Alvin Kamara. Oh, but what really concerns me is how bad the defense looked. Listen, the Panthers 2-0. Their offense looks good. Sam Darnold honestly looks good. And is this pass rush legitimate? If it is, the Panthers are going to be like a playoff contending team right now. There are some teams that could really learn from how this Panthers team has built their defense. But if this Saints defense isn't carrying them, they're in some trouble because that's what they need. This offense, Jameis looked good week 1. He had 5 touchdowns. What was it, like on 75 yards? But if their defense isn't playing well, then they're probably going to lose. And that was the case on Sunday. Again, it's really hard to know what to think of the Saints because they look really good in week 1, a game that pretty much everybody expected them to lose, and then look terrible week 2. Like, is it somewhere in between? Who knows? I'll give the Saints a surely our stadium catching on fire days after we get blown out by a divisional opponent is not a sign of things to come. Out of 10. Yeah, I think the Rams are pretty solidly the second best team in the NFC right now behind the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Even though the Colts honestly held their own. I mean, they lose a very close competitive game against a very good Rams team, and they were turned away within the 5-yard line twice. And you know what? You got the full Carson Wentz experience this weekend. Some really nice throws like that absolute laser beam touchdown to Pascal in the end zone, and then an inexplicable shovel pass interception. When the fuck was the last time you've seen a shovel pass interception, if ever? And then to top it all off, Carson Wentz sprains both of his ankles. I'm sorry to laugh. I don't want to laugh at injuries, but it's the Carson Wentz experience. It's full circle now. And then of course Jacob Eason, which I do remember Colts fans hyping him up going into last year, throwing an interception on his second NFL pass to ice the game. Gotta feel bad for that kid. I don't know what the reports are on Carson Wentz, whether or not he's going to play or whether or not he's going to miss time. I'm not entirely sure. But I will say this. If this offensive line doesn't start figuring it out, they're going to be in trouble because this is who Carson Wentz is. He is prone to injuries. He is injury prone. It's never fun labeling a guy that, but that... Am I wrong? I'll give the Colts a yee, brother, out of 10. You wanted Carson Wentz? You got him. I was about to start editing this video and then I realized I'm missing somebody. There's got to be a game that I'm missing, and I completely forgot about the Chicago Bears because... Oh my God, they are just not fun to watch. This Bears-Bengals game, blech. My prediction was correct. I did predict that Justin Fields would finish this game for the Bears. It just didn't happen in the way I thought. But the Bengals, oh God, dude, I don't know what to say about this team, man. If the referees didn't pull a random fumble call out of their ass against the Vikings last week, this Bengals team could and should be 0-2. Joe Burrow was just fighting for his life all game long yet again. Of course, 199 pass attempts without an interception, then throws 3 in a row. What the fuck are the chances of that? On top of that, Zach Taylor, I have no idea what he's doing. It's like this Bengals team looks so incompetent and inept for the vast majority of the game, and then Zach Taylor remembers he's an NFL head coach and has to actually try, and then they look good at the end to make the game semi-competitive. And I did think the Bears were going to lose this game at the end. I don't know, man. This Bengals team, I don't know what to make of them, because when their offense is clicking, it looks fun and exciting, but then you have like the other 80% of the game where Joe Burrow is literally fighting for his life. I can't emphasize this enough. I'll give the Bengals a wake me up when Zach Taylor is gone out of 10. That's really how I feel about them. Remember, guys, this is the best part of the NFL. Week to week overreactions. You've been hyping up your team for months. The NFL season is finally here. You wait all week for the game, and then your team shits its pants. It is so fun to overreact and be reactionary. What's the point? What's the point of being a fan if you're not going to be like this? Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe. I'll talk to you later. Okay, goodbye.